Neil deGrasse Tyson with saying, well, come on, where I dislike what people like him do is where they diminish the possibility through ridicule, because that's not science. It's wrong. It's arrogant and conceited. So Neil, cut this shit out. Just stop it. It's wrong.
That was Dr. Garry Nolan on the Through Conversations podcast. As always, link to the hour plus interview is in the description. The episode covers Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious and archetypes. He covers Garry Nolan's UFO experiences as a child. They talk about potential life existence beyond Earth and implication for humanity's future. He goes into Neil deGrasse Tyson, which we'll cover, as well as Eric Weinstein, peer review, and preparing for non-human encounters. Please hit the like button. If you do like this content, it really helps the channel, and consider subscribing. Thanks for being here.
Chris Lehto, welcome to LehtoFiles.
Us in the future or multiverse, like where right now is your mindset in terms of those things, and how would Abby and Professor deGrasse Tyson react on those ideas?
If I root my answer purely in physics we understand today, my answer would be, if they're here because of von Neumann possibilities, right? That they evolved elsewhere. They set up basically time capsules that they sent around the galaxy that landed, made more copies, went elsewhere. They landed. When they did, they're either AI that makes something that they can interact with locally. They create avatars of some sort. That's the easiest and safest for me to imagine. The next level imagining is somebody who's figured out how to get at least close to light speed so that they can take advantage of time dilation. And they can get on the bus on one side and get off on the other, and, through either hibernation or something like that, they're still the same thing when they got there. Less likely, more towards the fantastical, because we can't imagine what that technology is yet. Even RAM scoops and other things. If you're traveling at close to light speed, a hydrogen atom will rip through your ship at that speed. If you're a ship traveling at light speed, you have to worry about those hydrogen atoms. So that more moves into the realm of where someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson would be right. That it's, you're starting to imagine technologies that we don't have.
Okay, so Garry runs through the spectrum of what he could imagine at this point. He starts with von Neumann probes. Those are the self-replicating probes that could expand through the galaxy just in a few million years. So you don't need even faster than light travel. He starts there. And then he says, now if you're going towards the speed of light, you're going to have serious issues. And then even past that into the realm of multiverse and all these speculative physics. And he says that's where people like Neil deGrasse Tyson could actually be correct, in that we're imagining technologies that we can't even imagine how to make the technologies. So it's the fantastical. We'll show later that Neil deGrasse Tyson's already in the land of the fantastical. But this is how Garry Nolan actually brings up Neil deGrasse Tyson. And Neil deGrasse Tyson was on the Through Conversations podcast a year ago.
Once you start getting into future humans and, interdimensional humans or multiverse intelligences, that's just another level beyond. It's imagining technologies that we can't even imagine how to make. So I'd rather not go there. I'm perfectly fine if it's true, but I just don't know how to get there. And so, so that in those circumstances, I'd be more likely to credit Neil deGrasse Tyson with saying, well, come on, Where I dislike what people like him do is where they diminish the possibility through ridicule, because that's not science. I think what that does is it does a disservice to people who come forward with stories because they have a double trauma. They have the trauma of having seen something they really don't understand and doesn't fit with their worldview. And then they have the trauma of everybody making fun of them and their family, not believing them. Right? And so that's just, at best, it's rude. It's just rude. It's coarse. It's inappropriate. It's wrong. It's arrogant and conceited. So Neil, cut this shit out. Just stop it. It's wrong.
Interesting point he brings up about double trauma. So you get the trauma of the actual event, having your whole worldview turned upside down. And then you get the second double trauma of no one believing you. So your friends and family not believing you because of, I guess, the archetype people like Neil deGrasse Tyson out there saying that it's completely crazy, completely made up, fantastical.
You shouldn't do it. You wouldn't want anybody making fun of your ideas like I do on a regular basis these days, but that's just quid pro quo, right? It's like you don't want somebody doing that to you, so don't do it to other people, especially people who are not as conversant in the sciences as you are. I am. Avi is. Both of us are far more accomplished than the likes of him. He's a TV personality. Stop believing people like that. Stop putting them on the TV shows just because they're bloviating nonsense spewers.
So he totally hammers Neil deGrasse Tyson there, saying that he's not accomplished. He's not an accomplished scientist. He says that himself, Dr. Garry Nolan, and Avi Loeb, Dr. Loeb, are much more accomplished in their fields than people like Neil deGrasse Tyson. But people like Neil deGrasse Tyson are continually called upon by the media, National Geographic. They're more famous. So they get a much larger megaphone, right? And so when they say, yeah, this is all fantastical, it's made up, people tend to listen to them, and the mainstream tends to listen to them, right? If you're going to get an expert on, you want an expert that people are going to recognize, and they'll recognize Neil deGrasse Tyson. They'll recognize Brian Greene, the name, even if they don't know what it is, they've at least heard of him.
You have to categorize this for people so that they understand that a person like that is not a scientist. They're just not. They're a TV personality. So you shouldn't be going to them. So media representatives who are looking for somebody to speak to, that shouldn't be the person you go to. Stop being lazy. Use your brain, find other people who actually can talk about this intelligently and actually have a track record.
Wow.
Sorry.
Garry says, use your brain, stop being lazy, stop listening to people like Neil deGrasse Tyson. And the main reason he said there is he doesn't like how they shoot down new ideas.
You just gotta draw a line in the sand about this stuff. I mean, who has the time? Right? Who has the time? And that's what the Soul Foundation is and what Avi's foundation are meant to be.
Yeah.
We're setting up a perimeter about how it is that you professionally and academically talk about this subject matter so that you can invite people in who might be willing to talk about it, but are afraid of the bullies like Neil deGrasse Tyson and that guy, Dr. Nye, whatever his name is, the science guy, are afraid of the bullies and what the bullies do, because the bullies are more priests than they are scientists.
I see your point, and I do. When I spoke with him about these topics as well, there was those hints of like, it took away the spark and the possibility and because also this, like you say, you said previously, these topics also ignite the imagination and ignite of what could be. Like the wow signal, like you said, it's just, hey, we're out here, use your imagination, use your mind. And I do see your point. And on the other hand, just trying to maybe find a middle ground here. Do you think that even though he's a media personality, just categorizing it that way, do you think he sparked enough scientific interest in a way that
No.
more people are.
I think he might have in his early career, but of late, people will make the argument that you need someone like that out there. No, I don't need a bully, right? I need an intelligent conversant on the other side. I'm happy to have a debate, but I want a debate not based on somebody saying, well, if you got taken aboard a craft, why didn't you bring back an alien ashtray? Well, because maybe the aliens have figured out that smoking is not a good idea. I mean, it's just like, that's just such a stupid thing to say. And he said it multiple times, as far as I remember, or at least I've seen him quoted that way multiple times. So it's just, I'm using him as an archetype of a kind of thought process that has infected the media and cultural discussion at large that just needs to be stomped out. Because isn't it fun to talk about ideas? And limiting ideas limits creativity and limits possibility. And so it's always the data off the curve that leads to discovery. I mean, I can't imagine a Nobel Prize that didn't get there because it was obvious, right? I mean, it wasn't obvious, right? It got there because somebody had the strength of will to realize that they were, and was willing to spend the time creating. You don't get Nobel Prizes by learning how to stop stuff.
That's a great point from Garry Nolan. If you've done any initial research on Einstein, the years when he was coming up with his theory alone, he says, were the hardest of his life. Extremely difficult. Even when he was on his deathbed, he was scribbling out pages and pages of notation, mathematical notations, trying to solve his final unifying theory. So it's very difficult. If it was obvious, then science would be easy, right? So anytime you're shooting down new ideas, you're limiting the actual solution set. And this is surely why we're stuck right now. Physics is stuck. Cosmology is stuck. Since the 60s, theories like string theory have been proposed, and yet they've gotten us nowhere. So shooting down new ideas is just going to limit our solution set. And the irony is just so thick, right? Especially shooting down fantastical ideas. This is just a short clip from Neil deGrasse Tyson talking with Brian Greene, who is a proponent of string theory. String theory, initially proposed in the late 60s, has been a prominent candidate for a theory of everything since that whole time, right? How many years? Over 60 years? However, it's still mixed in the scientific community. They're still debating about it. Why? Because despite all its elegant mathematics, string theory has yet to make any testable predictions that can be verified experimentally. That's in over 60 years. So their main theory cannot be tested because the strings that they're positing are on the order of the Planck length, which is about 10 to the minus 35 meters. So that's far beyond even the reach of current particle accelerators like CERN. Either way, string theory is already a fantastical idea. Why are they shooting down so many other theories, such as Terence Howard's theory? Neil deGrasse Tyson basically said it's totally hogwash without really spending much time looking into it, from what I could tell. And yet here, let's listen to what he says about a discussion with string theorist Brian Greene.
I have not been the same since we had lunch. You explained to me, and I've said it here, the fabric of space-time might be woven by wormholes that connect the virtual particle pairs that come in and out of existence.
So it's like a little quantum net holding the whole universe together.
Exactly right. We find mathematically, if we cut the threads of quantum entanglement, space falls apart. It discretizes into little tiny pieces and it just disappears.
I gotta go.
I gotta go too. I mean, look, I love thinking about these things as well. I've been studying it for decades. Like Garry Nolan said, I listened to Neil deGrasse Tyson. I was a fan in his early years. So basically back in 2010 to 2015, right when he became popular. I listen to him on a weekly basis. It's fun talking about these fantastical ideas, but listen to everything they just said, right? The fabric of the universe could be woven through virtual particles appearing and disappearing through wormholes. I mean, that is ridiculous, everyone. As Brian Greene says, mathematics are a model of the real world, and yet the tail is obviously leading the dog here. The point is, Neil deGrasse Tyson should not be shooting down any sort of new ideas, different ideas, because the same string theory ideas, for instance, has been plaguing us for over 60 years and has not provided any testable experiments. What's the point? That's not a theory if it can't predict anything, and you can't even devise a test to predict it. Okay, and finally, Garry Nolan talks about Eric Weinstein and peer review. Weinstein has actually gone on Joe Rogan with Terrence Howard, listened to his science, but then he's also gone on further on podcasts like this one, Piers Morgan, Uncensored, saying wildly unhinged the arguments Terrence Howard's science. But Howard's science proposes just a new idea. And like Garry said, why aren't new ideas fun? He said, I don't have all the time, right? The time to deal with all this stuff. But isn't just pointing fingers and saying things are fantastical wasting everyone's time? But the argument from mainstream science that it needs to be peer-reviewed has some serious issues because peer review itself has serious issues. Let's listen to this.
But he was critical of the peer review process. He said that on his terms, and maybe we can connect it with our conversation now, is that, like you said before, science for many people becomes a religion, science with a capital S, and they are the gatekeepers. The peer review is kind of like their own 10 commandments. And so here my concern, Professor, is can we solve these big questions, these big challenges, and can we truly explore those possibilities of UAPs, of non-human entities, of free energy, of understanding what gravity truly is through a peer review process where it might be corrupted in a sense, it might...
I mean, Eric and I are good friends. And I agree with him 100% that what peer review has become is corrupted. It is the tyranny of the average. And, I remember being asked once by the NIH to, design a $50 million program for doing some biology. I said, great. Okay, good. I need the following 3 people and we'll do it. And they were horrified. Oh, no. It has to be 50 people. We have to have, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm out of here. That's it. I don't need 50 people, and I'm just arrogant. Okay. I'm arrogant and I'm conceited. I know that I'm right, most of the time, but I only need 3 other people who are as smart as me to tell me I'm wrong. I don't need a room full of people who are all going to basically pound the idea into nothing, into no creativity. So I agree with that peer review has become the worst of our imaginings. And so, but because of that, though, science has reacted. You now have these archive servers where ideas before peer review get put on the archive servers, right? No, they don't have the same status as a peer review, but the idea is now out there. And at least the minimal requirement for an archive paper is that the methods and analysis and the data are available. And so I think that's scientists' frustrated answer to, at least in part, the tyranny of peer review and what it's become.
So he calls it tyranny of peer review and the tyranny of the average. So you need giant group effort, right? We need everyone on board, all 50 people. And what that's going to do is lead to just the average. You're going to get the mainstream argument, right? Groupthink at its finest. If you look at discoveries in the past, always came through the crazy scientist in the basement, right? Think of Nikola Tesla. Think of Albert Einstein. Many other examples of breakthroughs coming from outside the mainstream. Why? Because of groupthink, tyranny of the average. He said Nobel Prizes are given not because it's obvious, but because it was a surprise. So the peer review process now doesn't allow new ideas. It's going to have too many people groupthink together, and the gatekeepers of science with a capital S now are not going to allow in those fantastical, crazy ideas. We're going to stick to our current fantastical, crazy ideas, which aren't getting us anywhere. That's his argument. I think Garry is right. I think that archive, like servers such as Archive and AI, are going to give us the answers we need. So the number of AI papers on Archive per month grows exponentially with doubling rate of 24 months. This is back from 2022, October. Now, what we can do is put all of our ideas, all these fantastical ideas, onto these servers and now analyze all these ideas with AI. And AI is improving exponentially. Elon Musk said we should have AGI within at least the next 2 years. That'll be artificial general intelligence. So I think we'll have an answer to all these physics questions. We'll have an answer to probably the UAP question, really, within the next 3 years. There will be an answer. It doesn't matter what people like Neil deGrasse Tyson think. It doesn't matter what anyone really thinks, because we are applying advanced, superhuman AGI. I think it's going to solve a lot of these issues. I think we're going to get an answer specifically. We'll see. I can't wait to find out what it is. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button. It really helps, and it's free. Consider subscribing to get future notifications of when I release videos. And you might like this video. If you want to support the channel, join these great people over here, get exclusive bonus content, then click this button here, patreon.com/chrislehto, or become a YouTube member. If you want to continue the discussion, go to UAP Society Discord. Links are all in the description. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.